What's up, everybody? This is episode 116 of Hoops Talk with Dave's joint. Supporting us thus far. For those who haven't seen any of our episodes, go on to our YouTube, Facebook, and IG pages where you'll see all of our content. But before we start, we're going to have to pay some bills real quick. So, this episode is now sponsored by the Players Circle. I discovered the Players Circle in the App Store when trying to find a product to track athletes. The Players Circle is a social video platform where players can share their stats, highlights, and accomplishments. If you can hoop and you want to get discovered, then you should join the Players Circle. So everybody go check out the Players Circle on the App Store. Definitely something that you'll definitely love and enjoy. But without further ado, we have a very special guest on here tonight. He's an educator, but also he's a basketball guy. You've probably seen him in the White Plains area. He's responsible for one of the best events in the tri-state area during the month of May or June. And he's also won quite a few championships in the old CYP tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Tom Sampogna. Tom, thanks for coming on tonight.
I appreciate it, Dave. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here, and I appreciate your dear friend. I appreciate your support for all the years.
Indeed. So let's get started from the very beginning. So when did basketball first begin for you?
Oh, let's see, probably 5 or 6. You know, like everybody else does, you touch a ball. Maybe a little younger, who knows? My dad is, from Queens, so he was a player when he was younger. So he wanted his 2 boys to play some basketball. So we, growing up in White Plains, we started off young and played rec ball and CYO ball, high school ball. I was blessed to play college basketball, which was great. And then, move into the coaching ranks and, meet a lot of good people and connections, 20 plus years doing it.
Indeed. So talk about talk about growing up in the city of White Plains.
It's an amazing city. A lot of people say it's a city outside the city. The diversity is amazing. Just the different places you can meet different people, going to public school if you want to go to private school in Stepinac. I have lots of friends that went both ways. You play different playgrounds, different things that you have ability to do. You're quick 30 minutes to the city. If you want to go into Connecticut, you're there. If you want to go into Rockland, if you're trying to find places to hoop, that's always, good places to be able to hit the highway and go. I don't live there now, but my parents still live there. So, I do frequently, get a chance to be back in my hometown and, being a White Plains High School alumni, but, I still, support Stepinac as well. So I have friends that went there. I actually taught there for a couple of years and coached there. So,
All right, cool. So what was the basketball culture like growing up in White Plains?
Well, I could say this. When I played, and I'll take myself out of this equation because I was not a Division I player.
Mm-hmm.
Every team from White Plains, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Scarsdale, Ramapo, Spring Valley, Mamaroneck, that was our league. Every single team had multiple Division I players, and every single game counted. So if you went 13-7 in a 20 game season, and you split with Mount Vernon or you split with New Rochelle, and Scarsdale was really, really good, that was a hell of a season. There was nobody going, 18, 19, 20 because just the wars were, it was unbelievable talent that was in there. So I was blessed to be a part of that, play varsity for 3 years and be a part of those. And this is before shot clock. Scarsdale used to hold the ball until and make you stand there and just pass the ball 4 corners and drive you absolutely crazy and hold the ball in the entire quarter. So it was definitely different strategies. Mount Vernon was always the, cream of the crop. And then everybody else was fighting for second. But it was a great time to, play basketball, especially in Section 1 at that point.
So what were some of the tournaments that you loved playing in when you were growing up? CYO, Summer League, or otherwise?
I was blessed to kind of play in a lot of different places because, my dad knew a lot of people. People, guys that I was friends with, I actually knew a lot of people, especially, you know, so I played in the center a lot in Greenburgh. We would go over to Rockland County and Spring Valley area, play. There was a guy there named Barry Knapp that ran an unbelievable league it was called the Hoop Street Gang. We used to go there. We'd go to Peekskill to play. My dad would take me and other people down to the city because he was, you know, from Queens. So we were able to actually get our feet wet in the city. Played in Yonkers, you know, wherever you could find places to hoop. But the center, I think, was probably, for me, that's where everybody went to play. I can't discount Ferris Avenue as well. Ferris Avenue was some tough games outdoors. You know, that was tough as well. But I think the center is where everybody went.
Gardella Park, some good run. Like this year, I'm not gonna say this year. Maybe 2 years ago, before this pandemic stuff went down, I was able to go to the Brook League. It was a pretty good event, which I hope they bring back. But you know, those two courts, that's genius, man. Like, I could see, like, if they wanted to, like, you could really do something in that park. Like, you could do so many things. You could bring out so many people. You know what I'm saying? And then plus White Plains, I feel like they should have like a whole day where they could have at least anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 people in the park. Like, they got to make that happen somehow, you know?
Yeah. I think the guys from like Torrey Thomas, he's done a lot of things through his programs. And now he actually has his own court that he's doing stuff with the Thomas H. Slater Center. But he does a lot of things with Ferris Ave through his program. And then the guys at Brook are doing a great job with that. So I think, you know, a lot of people collabing in regards to the greater good. I think you could absolutely blow it out the park and do some really good things, even if it wasn't high school, you know, college type level. If you were doing younger levels and you wanted to showcase kids from 4th grade to 9th, you know, 8th, 9th grade, you could do some stuff like that. You could do an all day affair. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that you could do, and that, especially in that part with 2 courts. I mean, you could definitely do some stuff with 2 courts.
So yeah, we're gonna get back into the Greenburgh Center in a little while. So this segment is still about you. So what led you to go to White Plains over Stepinac?
You know, in 8th grade, it was kind of one of those weird things. White Plains academically was just, you know, above, you know, what Stepinac had to offer at that particular time. Stepinac's basketball was definitely ahead. You can still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. No, I'm saying that's
okay.
That's crazy. So White Plains High School, the public school, had better academics than Stepinac at the time.
Yeah. It's you know, I mean, I can't say for sure. You know, I just think, you know, academically, you know, what growing up in the public schools my whole life, what my parents wanted me to do. They had certain things that you know, they wanted me to be able to experience. I wasn't ready to go to an all boys school. But basketball wise, I think my dad wanted me to go there. But there was some academic stuff that my mom wanted me to do. So, and a lot of my friends, it was a tough decision. I can tell you that much. I played in an 8th grade all-star game at Stepinac, and then they did the whole announcing, and I was like a undecided player. It was a very hard thing. It was a weird thing. But I went to White Plains. I was happy. I played 3 years of varsity. I definitely played 3 years of varsity. It was great. And I was still friends with all the guys at Stepinac, and we were able to play each other in, you know, at a home and home series or like once a year, those were some wars, really good games. My brother actually decided to go to Stepinac, and then at the last minute changed his mind. He went to White Plains. He stayed in the public school as well. Now I think Stepinac, from where it was, you know, I'm not going to date myself back until that far, but where they've grown now academically, I mean, it's probably night and day.
So wait, so your brother's older than you?
No, my brother's younger than me.
Oh, so you're the older brother. Okay. So talk to us about Section 1 at that time in the 90s, the early 90s.
I mean, I can tell you this much. I mean, like 3 guys that I played with at White Plains all went D1. Xavier Fuller went to Coppin State. Jermaine Young went to Niagara. Chris Watson he was a White Plains guy. He wound up finishing up 1 year at Stepinac. He went to Niagara. there's a couple other guys that were, in my class or year below, or year above that went Division I. And then Mount Vernon, I mean, obviously, you had, Rasul Salundin, you had Dean Marshman, you had the Pritchett brothers, who are obviously now in give back situation working at Mount Vernon. I mean, they probably had, I can't even remember. I mean, year after year, multiple guys go Division I. New Rochelle, you had Rasan and Rasheem Young. I mean, we're doing amazing things still, in that community. Division I players, both, multiple Division I players that came out of that. Scarsdale had kids going to Colgate, Yale, that type of, level. I think Spring Valley had a kid named Eric Wooten. I can't remember exactly where he went. Tyrone Foster, he's a Woodlands guy, wound up going to the Harvey School, wound up finishing up at Oklahoma. Otis Phil, obviously Pleasantville guy, but he played, that Section 1 kid. He went to Syracuse. Donnie Abrams, Section 1 guy, finished up at the Hackley School, went to BC. So the level is just going like that. So I compare it, me personally, when I played in the early 90s to the way it was probably in the early 2000s when Mount Vernon had Kevin Jones, Rashad Wright, and all those Division I guys. And Rochelle had Division Ray Rice was a football player, but he was a basketball player, and a bunch of Division I players. Obviously, Stepinac had their players. White Plains had Sean Kilpatrick, Rashad James, and Rashawn Johnson, and a bunch of guys have been Division I after that. So I kind of compare, 20 years later, that's what Section 1 was like. It just wasn't magnified because, AAU wasn't prevalent then.
Mm-hmm.
So rankings and all that stuff was way different.
So at that time, how far did White Plains go when you were there?
Well, senior year, we lost by 2 to Spring Valley on the road to go to the county center. Wow. And I missed a 3-pointer to send us there. Thanks, Dave.
What year was this?
1992.
Oh, wow.
Now, my brother was on the 94 state championship team that lost to Felipe Lopez and Glenn Flores.
Damn. Wow.
So
some good teams, man.
Very good teams. Very good teams. As I said, every game was a war. I mean, you might have had a non-conference, crossover game that was a little lighter, but I mean, every team was good. And everybody knew everybody. There was no place to go. I mean, it wasn't like people were playing all the AAU teams and running all over the place and doing this and that. I mean, everybody knew everybody.
Shout outs to the White Plains High School graduating class of 1992. Now, did you ever get to play at the old CYP tournament as a player?
Hold on. I'm sorry. I got a decline a call there. I actually personally did not play in CYP. I wound up playing in the center, and I played for an AU program called Aim High back then. And it just happened to be dumb luck, and I just didn't play in the CYP tournament. I have no idea. All the years I've coached there and everything I've done over there, I still to this day, like how long that tournament's gone on for 70 plus years, I'm shocked that people ask me all the time. They're like, "Hey, you didn't play I just didn't play. I don't know why."
You played everywhere else, but that tournament. Wow.
Yep. Very weird.
So you played for Aim High. This is Aim High in Queens.
No. This was out of Greenberg. It was yeah.
Okay, cool.
There was a gentleman named James Britt that ran it out of the center.
Interesting.
So
now, where did you go to college at?
I went to Connecticut College in New London. I went to Division III school, so in the NESCAC conference. So we play Wesleyan. Trinity College, Williams, Tufts, Amherst.
Oh wow! So one of those academically elite schools, basically.
Yeah, it's liberal arts college, so you got a lot of people go there that want to play Division III basketball, and I studied art. People are studying psychology, sociology, English, whatever. I would compare it to a lot of kids either go there to play 4 years and it's a little smaller environment than going to like Brown, you know, in the Patriot League or the Ivies, like those a little smaller, you know, than that.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's pretty cool. So shout out
It was
to
close to home. My parents could see me play all the time, you know.
Wow,
So
how long was that trip on the
2
Metro
hours.
North?
Oh, on the
Really?
Metro North, I don't know, but drive is 2-hour drive.
Wow.
From White Plains. Yep.
Connecticut College, is that in New London?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, so you would have to take a bus to get out there, I think, on Greyhound or Amtrak.
You could take the Amtrak. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I had a few opportunities to go, and you know, with my dad had some connections and some other basketball connections to go and maybe walk on some places, but I wanted to play. All I wanted was a 4-year career in play, and I played 4 years, and I wouldn't trade it in for anything.
How far did you guys go at Connecticut College?
We struggled the first couple of years. We had 2 different coaches. Then we got a new coach, and then all of a sudden we got an influx of players. We got a couple of JUCO kids, a couple of kids that probably should have gone to a higher level, came our way. They just wanted the academic environment, and we wound up going to the ECAC tournament, and we lost to Tufts in the semifinals. That would have given us the ability, if you win that tournament, then you would have gone to nationals. So it was my senior year, but we wound up going, I think, 20-8. So it was a good year.
Did you guys ever play any bye games against schools like UConn, Fairfield, Central Connecticut State, Sacred Heart?
So some of the non-conferences that we played we went to like NYU. We come down to NYU, Hunter, play those type of schools, and then my coach was a former UConn player and coach. So every year we went to UConn and scrimmage, but we didn't. But it was I think it was a little before you got those games, and then Division III is playing Division I was a different thing. It's not like Lemoyne playing Syracuse. So we were able to scrimmage with them and do a couple other things, which was very cool. I mean, when I was there, Ray Allen was there. I mean, we got destroyed, but
at least you can say that you played against them, even though it wasn't televised.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't televised.
Yeah, man. Shout outs to the Connecticut College graduating class in 1996.
Yep.
Now, when did the coaching start? Because you did coach in college.
Yeah, I came home, and it was kind of a weird thing. I was in flux in what I wanted to do, and I started doing my master's degree for education, and I was playing in a bunch of men's leagues. I had a few friends of mine were like, you're still young, you can still play. Do you want to try to do the overseas thing? And it wasn't really in the cards for me. It's not really what I wanted to do.
Right.
So my old head coach was the head coach at Rye High School, and I wound up connecting with him, and he was like, "Do you want to come on as a volunteer assistant and see if it's something you want to do?" One thing led to another. I did that for a year, and then next thing you know, I'm coaching at Stepinac for 3 years, and then you just keep going, and I did JUCO ball after that, and then I did Worcester High School, and then I finished up at Fox Lane. But in between there, I was coaching AAU ball, so it wasn't something that I wanted to do. I kind of hindsight, I probably, maybe if I was thinking a little bit forward thinking at that point, when you're 22 years old, maybe I would have stayed in college, try to maybe been a grad assistant and work my way up that way. But I had a lot of fun with the high school levels that I did.
Now, you coached at Stepinac. You coached JV or varsity or freshman?
I was I did all three. I did varsity assistant and then JV varsity.
Nice. So
I got my feet wet at all of them. I coached with some really great guys, really good players. One of my good friends is, we came up coaching together, Tony Bergeron. So we started coaching there together.
So Tony B was my guest a while back. So how was a younger Tony B back then?
No different. No different. He's still the same. He won't change his stripes for anybody. He's just the way he is. He's a forward thinker. He is he wants to press. He wants guys that are hungry. He wants guys that are, just want a ball. Like he's not gonna, sugarcoat it. He's gonna tell you how it is, and he wants to get up and down that floor. So that's just how he is. He's no different.
Right, but at least he's making money now.
He's doing well. He's doing well. He's won wherever he's been.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can tell you this much. At Stepinac, he won. When he was at Wings, he won. He went to American Christian, he won. When he was at when he went up to Springfield, he won. When he went to Woodstock, he won. Even just, and he always wanted to be a college coach, and I'm happy that he got the opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm. Now you went on to coach at Westchester Community College. Now let's delve into that. How did that opportunity come about?
It's gonna be the center. I was in the center playing, and a friend of mine was like, what are you doing coaching wise? And I was like, kind of in a flux situation. I was at Stepinac for 3 years. I had a job opportunity in the city, and it was like, do I stay at Stepinac or I take this job opportunity in the city and try something different? And the head coach, Winston Nicholas, happened to be in the center, and they introduced me to him. They're like, oh, it's a good guy. He's coached, knows a lot of people around the area. Maybe you might want to bring him on staff. But I was also in flux, job wise. And, I really wanted the head coaching job at Stepinac at that point, but it just wasn't in the cards, which is fine. And so I took this job in the city, and he was like, go do your thing. And then, why don't you come on board as a volunteer assistant the first year, see if you like it, learn the ropes, no stress. He had 2 other guys. And I was like, okay, no problem. And I did that. And then I wound up leaving that job in the city, took a teaching job and where I'm currently at in Dallas Ferry, and I kept coaching there. And I learned so much from him, just like recruiting wise, on all recruiting kids for junior college, recruiting kids from junior college, getting them exposed to the next level, connections that he had as a player, obviously, and him passing it along to me, and how he kind of envisioned his team to be and preparing these guys for the next level. So I was in charge of recruiting Westchester, Connecticut, and a little bit of the Bronx. And then every once in a while, he'd send me down to Ruth Lovelace and Boys and Girls to get my feet wet and be like, you're going here. And I'm like, okay, I don't know anybody. And he's like, well, you're going to Staten Island. You got to recruit this kid. You got to go to New York Trek and recruit this kid. And, you're getting out of your comfort zone. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, here's the number. They know you're coming. Go. It was great. It was awesome. It was awesome. And we had Division I. We had so many players that came and made that commitment to go to Valhalla. I mean, countless Division I players.
So you name some of the guys that came onto your campus.
I can tell you right now, the best player, and by no means are any of those other guys that went Division I shabby in their own right, but the best player that went on 3 years I was there was Shane Gatson. Went to Oak State, played in got a cup of coffee with Warriors, did some other pro things, played overseas. He was a JUCO All-American. Amazing how good he was. 6'3", 200 pounds, point guard, could do everything.
Now, what were some of the toughest games that you guys played against? Or shall I say, who were the toughest teams that you guys played against in region, I think
15.
Region 15.
Globe Tech was always tough. It was always a fight to get players with them. Nassau was tough. Monroe was tough. Trying to think of some of the other schools that we played. We didn't really we went to Rockland, but Rockland really didn't compete with us. When we went out of state down to like Hagerstown, Allegheny, we'd always go out west, like those type of things. Then we definitely saw some premier talent. But I would say like Globe was so good. I mean, they were very good. They were probably our biggest rival, I think.
Wow. I wish I could have seen some of the JUCO games back then. You know, I feel like JUCO isn't really promoted as much as it should be, but there are some great players on the JUCO level.
I will say this, and I will, because I did it for 3 years, and I watched the documentary Last Chance U. I think people need to watch something like that and take out like the coaching style and all that different thing, and look at a player's perspective in regards to like, everybody has a journey, everybody has struggles academically, whatever it might be, but everybody's trying to make it. And like those JUCO kids are no different than a kid that's trying to go to St. John's or whatever. They're all hungry to play. They all want to play.
Right.
And they just got to figure it out on their own way. And like I said, we had kids coming from Queens, the Bronx, Manhattan. I mean, Brian Gardenhire was one of my ex-players.
DG, how was he? How was he back then?
Oh man, he was a pest on the court. He could do it. He end-to-end defense, and he could run the show. You know, basketball IQ was great. You know, he gave whatever he can on the court. A lot of the guys that are still giving back right now. I mean, Jason McLeish is a Queens guy who played East Kentucky. You know, some of the guys are not doing it. Obviously, they played a little. They played and all that. But I just think the JUCO guys get, misunderstood. Either they're not coachable, or they're just not focused in the classroom, which could absolutely be true. They just need that right person, like a student, and then they go.
Indeed.
I'm trying to think, like one of the other guys, Damien Daniels, they called him cross country. He was playing at Rucker. Damien Daniels was the player that we had and that kid was like 5'10", but built like a pit bull. And that kid could do everything. Jump out of the building, shoot it, score. And we had him and Shane in the backcourt. Jason McLeish was a year younger. Brian was a year younger. We had Anthony Layler, who wound up going to, where did Ant go to? I forgot where he go to. We had a kid go to Craig Taylor, a 6'9" kid, went to LIU. Steve DeChabert went to Division I. I can't remember. I mean, there's so many guys. It was a long time ago, Dave. I do my best, though, to stay in touch with those guys. I do, thankfully for Instagram, Facebook, that type of stuff. I mean, we do cross paths, which is good.
Indeed, man. Rest in peace, Winston Nicholas.
Yeah. I tell you right now, he was old school. He would tell you this much. If you were Iona, St. John's, Manhattan, if you were local and you didn't reach out to him, and then if we reached out to you about our players and you never showed up in the gym, and then all of a sudden, and then he would shut the door on them. He was old school like that. He just believed in do your job. That was his thing.
I think more coaches need to be like him when it comes to stuff like that. Because it's like, I understand that, the coaches have to do what they feel is best for their programs, but you also have to be visible as well. And that's where some schools fail. Unfortunately.
I agree 100%. Yeah, and it wasn't personal.
Yeah.
He never kept it personal against, like, I think Jeff Rulin might have been the coach at Iona at that time. I forgot who was at St. John's at that time. But he'd be like, listen, like, we did our part. We alerted you of our schedule and our players. If you don't, and then there was guys that would call in like March trying to get in on guys like that were unsigned, and he'd be like, no. He'd be like, you didn't do your job.
Wow.
Hey, I did my job.
Because they waited too long to get back to them for players. Wow.
Yeah. So he was just like that. But even his players, you ask guys like Brian Hartnett, he would tell you, do your job. I'm doing mine.
Yeah, man. Well put. Yeah. Division I coaches, you heard it first. But then again, yeah, that comes in handy, especially when not only was it March Madness that just passed, but March Sadness. That's what I would look at it as, because players transferred, coaches got fired. You know what I'm saying? I feel more bad for the assistant coaches on the Division I level. They get it the worst. Like the head coach, he'll be fine so long as there's no scandals. But the head coach, at least he's still getting his money. If he still has years left on his contract, the assistants get nothing but the pay slip, which is the saddest part.
It's a business, unfortunately. It's all about winning, and the NCAA is about money and things like that. So, and now with the transfer portal and everything else, I think it's just, I don't know. It's a little bit out of hand right now, in my opinion. But players want to go to the next level. Players are trying to prove themselves. Assistant coaches are trying to move up the ladder. I mean, that's just the world it is right now. It just makes you, as a coach or a player, you just got to be hungrier and more dedicated to your craft than the next guy, because everybody's trying to climb up that ladder.
Well said. Now, outside of school basketball, let's talk a little bit about High Major, the team that you've been coaching for years. Now, when did High Major come into play?
I was coaching in CYP with a different program for a while, and they didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it anymore, so we switched over the name. Same concept, and we just wanted to keep it going and coaching the tournament, to a certain level, and we just thought it was a cool name. And we just, the tournament was always good to us. We wanted to make sure we were able to get, good players, and, put a show on for the fans. And, I always tell everybody, if anybody hasn't been to CYP, don't go there for coaches. It's a player's game. The players are there to put on a show, and that's all it is. High Major was just, was a reflection on some of the players that we were able to get. Yes. Did they come to play and we were able to bless to get some championships? Absolutely. But year in, year out, that tournament is a no blood, no foul, it'll expose you, all the above. So High Major is just a fun name that we just kind of wanted to continue on and, be a part of the tournament.
So how many championships have you won at the CYP tournament?
I started coaching in the CYP tournament in 2004. I think I've won 6 or 7 since 2004. But then obviously there's not this year, last year. So, half my time coaching that tournament, it's 7 tournaments in 13 years or something like that.
Wow.
Had a couple three-peats, lost a couple, got upset. That's the way it works.
So for those that don't know about that gym, let's talk about the legendary gym in Portchester and what they can expect when they go to games there.
I will tell you this much. I've seen Gatorade Player of the Year exposed just to the fact, because the physicality of that gym and the players that come in. If you think you're going to be able to run and get loose and do all the things you're used to do on a big court, I've seen Section 1 players that were Division 1 players that were lightning quick guards, couldn't get the ball over half court. Just because the environment is different, the mentality is different, the reffing obviously is different. The coaching, there's not much coaching in there, but the guys that are coaching in there coach different, because of how the gym is built. It's a no blood, no foul type of event, and it will expose you. Listen, if you can shoot, or if you're big, or if you're crafty, then you'll be okay. But you got to be able to take the physicality as well. And if you can't do that, then you're going to struggle.
Indeed, man. I love that tournament, and I wish they had played it this year, being that things are going upwards in regards to the COVID.
Yeah. It'll be back. I think, unfortunately, the tournament is part of a church. So, and, you'd be able to be allowed, but no fans would be allowed, and that'd be a whole different thing. And, it's really there for the community and have those kids. I
Yeah.
mean, the greatest thing is that, kid like RJ Davis plays in it, and the fans are right there on the court. You cannot get much closer. The kids are walking over at halftime getting autographs. I mean, getting
And
sneakers and shoes.
And the people from the balcony. Don't forget about them on
Yeah,
both
yeah.
of the sides of the balcony. That's very unique. I love that place from the first time I ever got in there. And plus, an iconic picture was taken. The picture of Lamar Odom, Anthony Glover, and about two other guys.
The famous Riverside Hawk picture.
Yeah. Only thing is, Elton Brand, but obviously a lot of people will never know that he was not wearing the Riverside jersey in that picture. He was wearing a Panthers jersey in that picture. Because if you really look closely, the jersey has an Adidas logo, but a lot of people will overlook that. And Gary Charles for years has been trying to, let people know.
Yeah, I mean, as you look at the programs that have, first of all, the players that have played in that event and the people that have been associated, like a Gary Charles, the guys from the Gauchos, Riverside. It was Riverside and Metro Hawks at the same time playing. I mean, listen, you got Kyrie Irving played in it. I mean, I was blessed to have my teams. I mean, there was another local team that was good as well. Connecticut Select always had good players that came in. And you just look at, that's why they have that book. I mean, if you look at them, I mean, there's a lot of guys that won't go play, that have been invited to play and turned down. And me personally, invited players to play and they won't play in it. They just won't. They either don't want to get exposed. They don't want to get hurt.
Because it is a small gym.
They don't want to. Right. But I mean.
But yeah, they can't afford to harm their reputation too. That's another thing.
Listen, I look at it as if Isaiah Whitehead is the McDonald's All-American, Seton Hall, all the above, walks in with him, Isaiah Briscoe, and all his guys. Why can't the next guy play? That's
true.
If Kyrie Irving can come play and he's going to Duke, why can't the next guy play? They're scared off for whatever reason it might be. There's lots of guys that are there. And listen, it's not like a reflection on them. It's just, the gym is too small. It's too physical. It's March. They're leaving to go to school in June. They don't want to get, God forbid, they got hurt. All those type of things. I mean, I get it. I mean, I get that part of it. But if you really want to prove yourself, I mean, you can't go down to Dykeman and those type of events. I go to CYP.
Indeed.
And if you're unknown, go prove yourself there. I mean, listen, I had Hamidou Diallo, Rawle Alkins, all those guys played with me.
So aside from those two, name some of the other guys that were worth mentioning that played for you.
Well, I can tell you this, but I can't take credit for building the teams by myself. I have to have good friends that are willing to, have players that they're associated come play. There's absolutely no way that I could do any of that, field those type of teams without friends like Nate Blue or Hector down at Riverside, who's connected with Isaiah Washington and Jose Alvarado. Like, you can't build teams like that without friends like that. So, I'm thankful that I have those relationships and they trust me to have a guy like those type of guys to come play. And Nate's, I mean, I've known Nate for a long time. He's always year in, year out. I mean, like I said, Hamidou Diallo, Chuba, Mo Harkless. I had Hassan Whiteside play in that for me there. That wasn't through those guys. Matt Ryan, Jordan Tucker, RJ Davis. I had Aubrey Griffin play, his first girl ever to play in that. She played.
Yes, I was there for that.
So and some, I had Stephen Enoch play. Kylan Guerra played. I mean, he's Division II All-American. I mean, Matt Ryan, all those type of guys. So it was good. I mean, Sean Kilpatrick, Kevin Jones, Russ Smith. I don't know. There's too many guys. Sometimes you have them all three games. Sometimes only guys, because they're scheduled, they can only make one or two games, which makes it a little bit tougher. But when you have a good nucleus, I mean, then you can, you can do some special things. That tournament, guys can make it multiple nights.
Indeed.
And I think I'm trying to think. Aaron Wheeler's another player.
Yes, Aaron Wheeler, the newest
St.
piece to St.
John's.
John's.
Absolutely.
Wow, man, that's big. He's back in the area again, so he should be it should be very exciting to see him come next year.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see him play. St. John's is moving in the right direction. I have to say that.
Now let's go to the reason why we finally here. The Frankie Williams Classic. Now, when did the FWCC start? Well, actually, FWC since you took the charity out of it.
Yeah. Well, it was the FWCC. It started in 2008. After Frankie, obviously. And it just was, a community event that we just felt like that what Frankie represented, that we could do something unique and fun for the kids before they went off to college. We just wanted to create something, use the center as, a place to showcase kids event, their talents, let them be their role models to the kids that are coming up. These kids are going to, the first year we had Kemba, Lance Stephenson, Russ Smith, Sean Kilpatrick, Kevin Jones, Jordan Enriquez. I'm drawing a blank on a few, I'm sure, which I'll probably get. Somebody's going to text me saying you left somebody out. And it was just for fun, and it was really a community thing. And then like Kemba and Lance were like add-ons at the last minute, and it wasn't really hyped up or anything. We just did it. We're like, let's just see what happens. Let's just do it and just have the family involved. And let's just have some fun with it. And then it kind of took off. The community got behind it. It was something unique that Westchester didn't have. It was helpful that Lance and Kemba played in it. So, and even somebody like Russ. So it gave a little bit of credibility for city guys to maybe not play in. And again, thankful to have, relationships with great people, and then the next year, a couple other guys want to play from the city. We still keep the Westchester guys involved. The next year, a couple more city guys come in at a top level, and then you start to grow year in, year out. And again, like I might do my part and do my job and recruit as much as I can and try to get every player I can at top level and talk to every but I can't do it without people that are behind the scenes that are connected to those players. I don't have that type of. I always try my best to make the personal bond with the players, while they're there and post. But they're not my players. I mean, they're somebody else who's put the time in with them, and we're just blessed to have them come and showcase their talent and be part of the community year in, year out.
Indeed. So I remember when the first year I went there, 2015, to be exact. I remember me and Shay, shout outs to Shay from Shay's days. So that day, I remember it very vividly. I came to the gym. I probably was early, and I don't know how you recognize me, but you recognize me. So that day, it was a small gym, small environment. I wish that I had a camera then, but that was a great day because I remember you had Muhammad Bamba, Bryce Aiken.
That was the last year we were at the center.
Stephen Enoch.
Matt Ryan, Jordan. Matt Ryan played in that.
Right.
Let's see, who else? I think 2000s. Kylan Garrett played in that. That was 2015.
That's right. Yeah, Kylan Garrett was there.
Tom Capiano played in it. He went to Manhattan. Trying to think. Unique McLean played in it. Bryce Aiken played in it. Obama played in it. Man, I'm definitely going to leave a few guys here or there out. But yeah, that was a great year. We were fortunate to have like our alumni Sean come home and coach. He was right on the cusp of going to play for the Brooklyn Nets and get his NBA career started, which was great. And obviously we had you guys there. And we were at that point where it was like, where are we going to go with this? Can we take it up a notch or not? We were right there,
Yeah, man. That was a great night because it was like, yo, I gotta come back next year. I have to come back to this event. That was the way I felt when I first got there, It's 2021. So 6 years later, I'm still interested in the FWCC for sure.
Yeah, well,
But
we're blessed for that.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, if you go back to the game on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Good memories, really, really good memories from that night.
That game was exciting. I remember talking to Munch in the parking lot, and he said, like, he was like, I'm glad my guys are involved with something like this. It's different. You know, it's community, it's family, it's fun. Like, there's no rankings. This is not about who's going this or there. Like, it's cool. Like, you're telling like Mo Bamba's going here and this guy's going there, and like the youth get around that, and like, you know, you get a buzz about it. But it's not a McDonald's game. It's not
Yeah.
a Jordan Classic. It's not like
Right.
that. It's all about like the kids and what they are accomplishing.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I know he was like, nah, this is like, you know, this is good because my kids are involved in something that's different. Like, this is different. And thank him, and thank for him for, you know, multiple players every single year that he brought to play. But I remember that night. That was a great night. And, you know, it was a sad, you know, it was like one of those, you know, sad moments to kind of make the shift over to Stepinac. But it was, you know, you're getting to a point where you know, you're outgrowing a venue.
Yeah.
And you want to try to take a step in the right direction and try to grow it. And, you know, it did work. And, you know, it did work in regards to the plan to grow it into 3 games within 4 years of leaving the community center, and ultimately capping it off 10 years at the county center. You know, I think that's quite unique accomplishment in regards to everybody that from the start in 2008 to 2019, you know, everybody that's been involved in the smallest capacity had their fingerprints to help it go from a small little, you know, memorial game into something different, into something that the community that's unique, that people want to come and just have fun and watch these kids play.
Now, talk about having it at a big venue like the county center.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how was it?
I would say, looking back on it now that we're 2 years removed from it, it was special to kind of be in that environment. But also when we look back on it as a team, you know, we kind of wanted to reevaluate like where we were. Like, obviously the ultimate was to kind of play in a pro venue, right? And kind of put the kids on that platform.
Right.
But ultimately we looked at our relationships like with the community center where we started, and a place like Stepinac, and then the clientele, the kids that we have playing in it. And we also looked at a place like CYP, you know, which I've coached, you know, many, many years in. And there's a reason why CYP doesn't move. You know, it's just about that's it. That's what makes it unique. So we looked at like the 10-year was like a 10-year special anniversary event. If COVID didn't hit, we weren't going back to the county center. We were going back to a high school venue and putting it where it belongs in that type of setting. Just, you know, so I think it was a learning experience. It was special to be in the county center in a pro venue, but it was also a learning experience about like how hard it is to put those type of events on.
Yeah, indeed. So in the future, if you were to bring FWCC back, or shall I say the FWC, would you ever bring it to White Plains? Because you are an alumnus of the school. It's only right.
I think it's just a matter of who wants to host us into the right environment. I mean, would it be? I think between Stepinac and White Plains, those 2 venues are amazing. They host a great amount of people, which is great. You have high school settings. Obviously, Stepinac has its lore with, you know, all the jerseys hang and the tradition that they and what they're growing over there. White Plains has their own traditions and what they have with their state championships up on the walls. And being an alum, I mean, I'd be honored to go back to both of them. I don't know what the future is going to hold for the event. I mean, this pandemic has definitely slowed the momentum down on that. You know, we've discussed it as a group, you know, and what we want to do going as a forward. I mean, I'm starting a new chapter with some other things right now, and we'll see. I mean, I'd be open to, if everybody wants it back and we can do it, I mean, I got to have my team, Keith and Jordan, those guys on, my brother, got to have those guys on. And, you got it if the community wants it and the players want to do it. And, if Stepinac wants to host us or White Plains or, if it was Woodlands, because it would put us closer to Greenberg. I mean, who knows?
Or Ferris Park.
Nobody ever wants to say never, right?
Yeah, or the park on Ferris Avenue. That would be cool if it could be outdoors. But wait, are the rims still down in White Plains? Because that's what I heard.
I don't know, but
okay.
It's funny. Somebody did mention that to me, saying, "Why don't you just do what Elite 24 did in Brooklyn and bring Frankie Williams outside?" I'm like, but those guys they're not playing on a
exactly. Yeah.
I gotta get a court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. That's true. Injuries, and plus, a lot of the AAU guys probably wouldn't want their best players on the asphalt. You know what I'm saying? Like until the summer's over, then maybe. But your event is in the spring, going into the summer, so that would never work. But there's always still April, so anything could happen. But like you said, you have to consult with the team first before But
it's a hard thing to, we're proud of what we did, and sometimes a new chapter is a good thing. But it's a labor of love. I mean, I can tell you, anybody that talks, Trev just did his, Trev James just did a tremendous job with his, Northeast Classic. Anybody that puts on any type of event, they can tell you. I mean, the guys probably at Dykeman, Ken and those guys. I mean, it's job, shine, and you want to do all these things, and it's great to get acknowledged, but it's not about like me or Keith or anybody. Like, it's about the players and the community. So it's sad to kind of let it go, but it's also exciting if you're trying to like switch into a new phase of life.
Indeed.
Who knows where you reinvent the Frankie Williams Classic into, the top underclassmen showcase. Who knows? It might be a middle school, junior high school showcase. Who knows?
Well, hopefully it comes back in 2022.
So it'd be nice.
So this is one of the segments that we love to ask before this is a segment where we love to ask a question before we lead up to the final question. If you could go back to 1992, what would you tell Tom at 18 as he's going into college and still loves the game of basketball and is balling anywhere where he could find a place to play?
I think because I grew up as like I did play multiple sports, but then I was more into a straight basketball player. I think, 18-year-old me loved to play. I think I could have definitely taken it up a notch. I think, that would have been good. And, I think as every player or person learns, relationships do matter, and, staying in contact with people and, seeing how that morphs, maybe, being able to use that to my advantage and, whatever I was trying to do. Like I said, I mean, if I ever had the chance to get a job in coaching in college, I mean, that was my time to be like, put that in the back of your head, and this might be an avenue that you might want to go down, be a college coach. So,
indeed. Final question: what's next in the future for Tom Sampogna?
Yeah, right now I am currently developing 4th grade basketball players.
All right.
My youngest. So my oldest is into engineering and plays golf and things like that. But my youngest is a hooper, and I got a nice little CYO 4th grade group playing, and we're just in the lab developing and to get their insight on, keeping them in the right path, and when is it time to drop them in the meat grinder and bring them down to the city and things like that. And COVID's helped because it's allowed me to kind of reprioritize, how serious I want to take this, and then when is the right time to hand them off to the right people. But as I said, I'm always thankful to have the relationships I have with guys in the AAU market. I mean, it's invaluable now because guys like Hector, what he's doing in Riverside, and Munch is what he does, and Andy and those guys, Renz, and even guys, Steve Alvarado, any of those guys that I know that are in the AAU circuit, and they're not dealing with 9-year-olds. But to get their feedback on what's important and how to proceed, and then, when it's time to kind of take them outside of the bubble that they're in right now and start to kind of expose them and get better. So it's great. I got a good group of kids. I'm not trying to be an AAU coach. I'm not trying to be a brand or any of that type of stuff. Just trying to give my chance to some of the opportunities that I didn't have, and other kids that he's friends with have opportunities I didn't have, and develop some good players. And then, when time's right, bring them to good people, and hopefully they shine.
Tom, thank you for coming on tonight to share your story, and I wish you nothing but the best moving forward. I
appreciate it, Dave. It's been an honor. You're always, dude, you're so genuine, man. I appreciate it, man. And it's just been a great opportunity to do this. This is not usually my thing where I do these type of things, but it's been awesome. Please stay safe and be well, and continue to do what you do, man. The basketball community needs guys like you.
Indeed. Well, everybody, this is episode 116 of Hoops Talk with Dave's Joint. Shout outs to my guy, Tom Sampogna, for coming on. For those from White Plains, Connecticut College, those that are true supporters of the Fwcc, the Frankie Williams Classic, and High Major, go support him by checking out this episode on YouTube, Facebook, and IGTV. And we pray that the Frankie Williams Classic comes back in 2022. But, stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.